I'd like to welcome you all to tuning into your Angels. I'm sorry, my own show. I don't even know the name. I'm your host, Tommy G, and to my left.
Hi, I'm Lisa DiGennaro. I'm the spiritual enthusiast.
Hi, my name is Claudia Canuto, and we're very happy to be filming our second show of Tuning Into Your Angels. Today, mostly, we will be concentrating on the testimonials of people who have had miracles. We want to dedicate the show to Lorraine Fiala, who passed away on the weekend of June 24th. She was probably our biggest fan. She was there when we were filming our first show on May 17th, 2 months ago. That was our very first show, and she had been battling throat cancer. We had prayed for her. Her cancer had vanished, but unfortunately it reappeared elsewhere, and it took her away from us. Lorraine, you were a beautiful person, and you will be missed by all of us that loved you. Now we will be watching 4 different clips. We will start with the first one, one testimonial of a lady who was healed. The language you will be hearing is French on the first one, and on the 2 others it will be in Italian, because these are people that don't speak English. So we will start. We can start.
Before we go to the clip,
yes,
Claudia,
yes, that's true.
I would just like to mention we would like to send some healing and prayers to all the families and the victims of the tragic Colorado shooting. It was a massacre, and I just didn't want the show to go on before we just send some healings and prayers, and let's all include them into our prayers. Okay, so we have the first roll-in that Claudia was talking about. Okay.
Yes, those are the 4 testimonies we're going to be having. Those are their pictures of the people, and we will start with Marie-Lyne, who is going to give a testimonial for her grandmother.
Bonjour, mon nom est Marie-Lyne. Ça fait environ 1 an que je connais Claudia. On s'est rencontrés à son emploi. Je viens faire un témoignage pour ma grand-mère Louise. Ça s'est passé dans le fond le 27 mai. On s'en allait fêter ses 76 ans. J'étais censée être à un party au niveau de la chapelle à Claudia. Malheureusement, ma grand-mère est rentrée à l'hôpital, paralysie complète de ses 2 jambes. Les médecins ont fait test par-dessus test, on n'a jamais trouvé qu'est-ce qui se passait. Mardi, je m'en vais voir Claudia à son emploi. Je lui parle un peu de ça. Elle me dit qu'elle va prier pour elle. Elle me donne une petite figurine, puis elle me dit de mettre en dessous de son oreiller. Mercredi, comme des fêtes, j'appelle mon père pour avoir des nouvelles de ma grand-mère. Les médecins ne comprennent pas. Elle a recommencé à marcher, tout va bien. Ils ont refait des tests par la suite, ils n'ont jamais rien trouvé, mais elle se porte très bien. Maintenant, on est rendu au mois de juillet, tout va bien. Elle va fêter ses 57 ans cet été avec mon grand-père au niveau du mariage, puis tout va bien.
Hi, I will be translating what we just watched. It's Marie-Lyne gives her testimonial for her grandmother, Louise, who is camera shy. So she tells her story. It begins with the day of her 76th birthday. That was May 27th. It was a Sunday. And actually, she was going to take her grandmother up to a party that was being given at my chapel. So she promised me she was going to come. Unfortunately, her grandmother was brought in by emergency in an ambulance. She was completely paralyzed. When she went to the hospital, they did test upon test. They weren't sure if she had had a stroke. What happened after that, she didn't come to work because she's a customer of mine at the bank where I work. She's a commercial customer. But she showed up on Tuesday with a very long face and very sad, and I asked her why she hadn't come if she couldn't make it. She says, well, unfortunately, her grandmother, on the day of her birthday, had this major paralysis. She could not walk anymore, and they were all very worried she was not doing well. It looked like everything else was breaking down as well. So I decided to give her one of my little figurines of Saint Raphael, which I give everyone whenever they come and mention a problem. And I told her, I asked her if she was going to see her. She says yes, she was going to see her that same day. And so she brought her this figurine, And on Wednesday night, she gets news from her father. She put it under the grandmother's pillow. Her father says that all of a sudden the grandmother was walking and back to normal, and they couldn't explain it. So they couldn't explain it. So they did more tests to find out. They never found out anything. And everybody was stunned. It was just a miracle. So Marie-Lyne in the video mentions that her grandparents will be celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary and that everything is fine and everybody's happy.
Wow, Claudia, I have to ask you, so did the grandmother even know that, you know, what Raphael, who he was, and believe in it, or?
I think she had mentioned her grandmother's very, she has a lot of belief in you know, her religion and in angels.
Did she know that the figurine was
Yeah,
placed?
she gave it to her and she says, let's put this, Claudia said, to put it under your pillow. So they never had explanations.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
All right, moving right along, I'd like to introduce our first guest. She's a friend of mine from my old neighborhood, dear friend, and we're a childhood friend, and we grew up together. Joanne Agnello Berdie. Joanne, you want to tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes, I will. Hello, everyone. I met Tommy again through Facebook after about 35 years.
39.
And I started to read his posts that he would write on Facebook. And I started to really find it very interesting, the spiritual side of him that I never knew. And it was around December of 2011 when my dog Angel, an 11-year-old Maltese, was diagnosed with leukemia. And of course, I had her since she was born, and it was devastating. And I remember telling Tommy about this one night on Facebook, and he saw and felt how upset I was. And he told me about Claudia, and he was going to speak to Claudia about me and my dog, Angel. And one night I was sitting on the couch with Angel, and I was really sad. I was crying. I was looking at her. And I started to feel very sad, and I felt that she felt my sadness, and I just didn't know what I was going to do to help her. And that night, I went to bed, and before I went to bed, I turned on the computer, and on Facebook, there was Claudia, and she messaged me, and she told me that she was going to pray for my dog. And I thought, I don't even know this wonderful woman, and here she is going to pray for my puppy. And to make a long story short, 8 months later, now Angel is cancer-free, and she's back to her same old puppy-like self. And for an 11-year-old Maltese, this to me is a miracle because they don't have long lives to begin with. So I'm very grateful to Claudia and for Tommy for introducing me to her. And then again in January, I was hit with another devastating news. I went for my yearly mammogram, and I have a very strong history of breast cancer in my family, including my mom, who beat it 3 times and is continuing to this day to fight her last bout with it. And they found something on my right breast, and it didn't look good. And I was told to go to have an MRI done, which I did. And when I went for the MRI, they found that it wasn't as bad as they thought, that it was just calcifications. But because I went for the MRI, they saw something on my left breast, which was a lesion, and it looked very suspicious, and it did not look good. So again, I spoke with Claudia at length on the phone this time, and she told me that she was going to do a healing for me, and she was going to send St. Raphael to my home that evening. And of course, just learning about this with the angels, and it was a little frightening to me, but I was also very anxious. And that night I remember laying in bed, and I closed my eyes because I was, although I was anxious, I was fearful. I don't know why, but I do remember feeling a breeze go through my body, and I felt the chills, like goosebumps, throughout my body, and I started to feel little twinges of pain in my left breast and a few other parts of my body. And I also heard like a little howling of wind, and it was a very calm night. I just heard that little howl of wind. I closed my eyes, I went to sleep that night, and I felt beautiful. I felt good, I felt relaxed. The next morning, I started feeling more pains in my left breast. To make a long story short, again, when I went for the MRI, they did a biopsy, but they weren't sure that they got the right spot because it was in an area where it was hard to detect. The only way they would know is if they put a marker in my breast and put me back under the MRI to see if it was indeed the right area. And I did. I went under the MRI. Shortly after, they rolled me back out. I got a tap on my shoulder. I turned around, and there was my doctor smiling, very happy, and said, "We won't have to do a biopsy after all because the lesion is no longer there." And I knew that St. Raphael healed me, and no questions, no doubt about it. And I thank Tommy and I thank Claudia, because if it wasn't for them, I don't feel like I really would be here talking about this miracle.
Very good. You want to answer the question?
Well, I know that you were very nervous on the phone, and I don't know if you, previously, if you had beliefs, if you had faith in such things, but all I know is that I remember trying to assure you that everything was going to be okay. And I think that I did that quite a few times, even on through Facebook.
Did.
And I told you, just don't worry about it. Everything will be okay. And those are the words I use with a lot of people. You will be okay. And as soon as I say that, and they are okay after. And the best news I can get is a week later or 2 weeks later or whenever it comes in, that your doctor doesn't find anything. And those are beautiful words. And it happens with dozens of people.
That's true.
And when I heard that, I was not surprised. Of course, it makes me happy every time, and that means that you had belief as well. You had faith in them.
Joanne, since all these healings and things that have happened, speaking to you, I see your growth spiritually, how it's going. How are things changing for you now in everyday life? I mean, how do you see things differently now? You see them from a different point of view.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm much more positive. I'm a lot more calmer. I have a lot more faith. I feel that I'm attracting more positive people in my life now, whereas before people come to me a lot to talk to me about their problems, but there was a lot of negative, sad things, and I feel that a lot more positivity is coming my way since that.
I've noticed a spiritual growth in you, basically because I believe that once you're healed by St. Raphael, and by God, and Blessed Mother, that you pay it forward, you help others, because that's, you're healed, and it's your duty to heal others and help others. And I know you're of a giving heart, and I know that you're already doing that. With a couple of friends that you've told me about their stories, that we have mutual friends.
Yes.
And we will continue to work on them to heal them. But I'm just very happy with your spiritual growth. I believe that after 39 years it was, not 35, 39.
I didn't want to show
that,
my age.
we know each other again basically for this reason. And I'm just very happy to have you back in my life.
And so am I. Very grateful and thankful.
And I also, Joanne, with your testimonial, people will see that it doesn't just get limited to humans. It's animals as well. Mm-hmm. And there have been healings with animals. People just, you can't just like put your dog to sleep and give up on your dog if something happens to him, or your pet, because there is hope for animals as well. There are prayers you could do, and you're the perfect example, because you were at a point where you thought you were going to lose your dog, and it is 8 months later.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel, knowing that this is for absolutely...
Very grateful, very grateful.
Yeah.
I have my puppy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great thing, it is.
Now, Claudia, your healings, are they different when you pray for animals as opposed to humans, or it doesn't matter?
No, all I do is I call my buddy there, St. Raphael, who stands behind you, and I call him, and I just give them, I just say, can you please help so-and-so, or and like in that case, Angel the dog, which is appropriate name as well,
right.
and heal Angel the dog. And that's what I do. I ask them to go to the puppy and just heal him, whatever their ailment is. Yeah. So it's not limited to just the words are the same. It's not. There's not just different words for each one. Yeah.
The animals become part of your family. They become like children. I know how close I am with my dog. You see his pictures all over Facebook, you know, but I'm happy that Raphael was able to heal Angel. I hate hearing stories like that, and I did definitely want to intervene as quickly as possible.
I just wonder, like, some people get healings and some people don't, you know, and, you know, you were lucky enough to get the healing, and I do believe that because it changed your faith so much and it changed your whole, you know, you're positive about things, you're attracting positive, that's great. But I wonder, like, at what point does things get, you know, chosen? Like, people still die, people get healed, you know, like.
Are you being skeptical?
No, I'm just wondering, you know, like, for instance, we were bringing up the Colorado shooting, and there was a lady who actually was in Toronto who had a bad feeling. She had a premonition, and something told her to get out of the mall. And she ran out of the mall, and there was a shooting there. She escaped that shooting. Here she is, going to see Batman, and what happened? She got shot, and she died.
Oh, boy.
So I just wonder, you know, about stuff like that. But no, I'm not skeptical.
Basically, her contract was extended for a bit,
Right.
and then she had to go on vacation there.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so now we're going to have our second testimonial, which is in Italian, and it is another customer of mine, commercial customer, Nunzio. And he's going to be speaking, he's actually sitting in his store.
Io sono Nunzio Ciampitiello, mi sono recato dal mio dottore per fare un esame annuale. Il mio dottore ha trovato qualche cosa che non andava al cuore, mi ha mandato alla cardiologia, la cardiologia ha trasmesso al mio dottore che aveva una lesione al cuore. Parlando con Claudia mi ha detto non preoccuparti perché pregherò io per te. Claudia ha pregato il 15 di dicembre, dopo ritornato alla cardiologia, hanno fatto l'esame ancora e non hanno trovato niente. Allora non so come ringraziare a Claudio, grazie Claudia.
Devo vedere, ok. Buonasera, sono Franca.
That was the second testimonial, Nunzio Ciampitiello, who's the owner of Lita Furniture in Montreal. That testimonial was given on July 12th. He's talking about the time in December when he went for his annual checkup, and the doctor noticed that there was something wrong with his heart, and they suspected he had had a silent heart attack. When he went to the cardiology hospital to run tests, they found there was a lesion in his heart, which means he had had a big heart attack that he was not even aware of. Maybe he had had some pains, but he wasn't aware of the extent of what was happening to him. Plus, they suspected a lot of blockages around the heart. So when he came in to speak to me, he came and he mentioned these health issues because he's heard about other miracles that have happened to other people. Because when they come in, I have their commercial deposits to do, and I have enough time to speak with them because it's a little long sometimes. So he was telling me his story, and I asked him if he wanted for me to pray for him. So he says, and he jumped on it. He jumped on the idea, yes, you could pray for me. And in fact, I did pray for him before his next test, which would have been January 6th, and I prayed for him December 15th. January 6th, when he went back to the cardiology hospital, the technician and the doctor were taking quite a long time. They were examining the whole area. They took about an hour, and he was like looking at them and listening to him speak. And they were wondering what was going on. And when he asked them, what are the results? They said, we'll forward it to your doctor. But in fact, he says, but I'm listening to you. So the doctor that was in the room told him there was absolutely nothing. So he's very happy that it turned out this way. And in the video, he's not sure he doesn't know how to thank me or the angel because he's very, very happy with his good health.
Okay. Any questions? All right, at this time I'd like to introduce our second guest, Adolphina Shephard. Adolphina is a world-renowned spiritual healer and author. Adolphina, you want to tell us a little bit about your story and your background?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on, first of all. And basically, I'm a spiritual teacher, foremost, a healer, and a writer. And I came into this myself from being horribly injured in an accident, and I could not see myself living the rest of my life disabled. So little by little, I was set on this path to learn how to work with God and the angels. And through faith, energy, and prayer, I, sure enough, soon learned that I had psychic gifts all along, but they needed to be enhanced and worked with, which of course enabled me to see and hear and feel better so I could get the information. And so I started with myself, you know, as usual. And then as normal, you have family, you have friends who are injured or sick, and they need your help. And so that is how it started with me. And then that led to basically starting an energy school for healing called Yatuve Energy School. And basically Yatuve is the merger of the male and the female energies of God, it's himself, herself. And in the method that we use is we send energy to God, and then we ask God to send her energy back. And so when we do that, guess what? It's not me doing the healing, it's not the person, it's actually God. Mm-hmm. And so many, many, many miracles have occurred. And in this manner, the one that I remember the most, though, simply because it was so dramatic, one woman, my husband does aura photography, and I read them, the things that are in the aura that you can't normally, won't be in the report or whatever. And she came in, and she had been in an accident, and she was horribly maimed. I mean, you could see she was disfigured and so forth. And anyway, she was guided to me to do a healing on her. So I did. I called on God, and she said that she was a nurse, and she could not work anymore because her brain wasn't working right. And she had brain damage. Well, the next thing I know, I get this big letter in the mail, and she says, "My God, you fixed my brain." You fixed my brain, I was able to go back to work. And so on and so on, and this is how it went. And so I then started to teach others how to do this, because one of the things is prayer is wonderful, but as far as there's very few people who can just say, heal me. You know, you have to learn the specifics and learn how to pray properly, and then have the faith to receive it. And this is something that I've taught many people, and anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And in fact, I wound up writing a book called Yatuve the Manual, How to Perform Miraculous Healing. And in that, I actually take people step through step through step in learning how to heal themselves, heal others, and up their frequency while we're at it, because, you know, 2012 is here. If anybody knows about that, and it's a big year for the transformation. And so I guess I should stop there for the moment.
The book that you have in front of you, this is about 2012?
Yes.
So it's about the shift.
Yes, it's about the shift. It's called 2012, Creating Your Own Shift. And that book was actually a book that was co-written with me with 35 other spiritual leaders around the globe. And each person put in what they felt was most important for people to know about what is occurring in this very time frame, because we're living in unprecedented times. This has never occurred before, because every other time that the earth with mankind on it, they've perished. Mm-hmm. Whether it was the Ice Age, whether it was Noah's Ark, the flood, and so forth. But we're living through it, and we're going to live through it. So it's huge. It really is huge. And anyway, it came out last year, and we have one coming out right now. It's available probably on Amazon right now. I haven't gotten my hard copy, otherwise I would have brought a copy. And that's called The Sacred Shift. And what we need to do is mankind to assist bringing forward living in love and joy, and how to teach everyone to live this way.
Well, I'm noticing quite a bit, just in general people that I meet, is that nobody really talks about their religion, but they are very, very spiritual. That I'm finding this out from a lot of people, and I talk to them, and I mentioned that I have a show, and it's about angels, about healing, and about angel interaction with people. and they really get excited. And I was kind of surprised at the reaction, especially from people who, you know, big brawly guys that, you know, that you would expect that, you know, they'd be doing other kind of things than this. And yeah, I have angels all over my house, and sure enough, I go over there, they do.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I'm very happy to see that spirituality is actually growing, because this is a sick world we live in, as Lisa's example before with Colorado. And I think we all need to start to interact with God and the angels.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the most important things that I've ever witnessed in my life, and I'd like to share it if I can have a minute or two. I was in Egypt on 10-10-10, and we had a morning meditation set up at the between the paws of the Sphinx. So in the desert, it's very cold, so I went out on the balcony to see how cold it was, if I need to take a sweater. And there was this humongous beam. I mean, I am talking that it was the size of a highway, coming down from as far up as you could see in the heavens down to the ground to the left of the pyramids. And I was like, what is that? And the next morning, same thing. Now we're going somewhere else over there to see the pyramids. And now I see this huge beam coming down, striking the pyramids. And the other beam is still there. Now, at that night, you could feel the whole bed shaking. The ground was shaking. You could see, I could see energy moving. And anyway, the point I'm making is that God gave the earth a major at-one-ment at that point in time. And I want to tell you, I have to ask you if you can guess. What do you think the name of the hotel was? La Meridian. Now, what that means is that the hotel was situated on the main meridian of the earth, and this energy went out to the world. And then, after that, when we would do the aura photographs, because this is high-tech equipment, it's much more than people think it is. You were talking about how people are becoming more spiritual. It was measured in the photographs. You could see the yin-yang, which is the male, female, light, dark, etc., on people. In the past, it would be like this, the men especially. Now, all of a sudden, it was like this. It was even. They were balanced. And then, since then, now, people are in a huge growth situation, which actually is picked up on this equipment.
So you captured these in pictures?
Yes.
And do you have that in your book as well?
That is going to be my book after next, because in fact I just had asked my husband to download all these pictures on a disc in case the computer crashed. Because I'm going to be able to chart this by the timelines and show it by the people's auras.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
What color are the energies that are?
Well, the energies are becoming higher and higher. It's individual for each person.
The color in the pictures. What did
Gold,
they?
gold.
What did they? What did they look?
They may be like I'm a hot pink.